So in 5.5, you are going to need your calculator. So if you do not have a scientific calculator on you, please take the time to go get your calculator or your phone. Just turn it sideways. Also, please make sure you double check that your calculator, just for good measure, always check to make sure it is in degree mode. So I will have shown you how to do this in class, so just quickly double check your calculators in degree mode. Otherwise, you will be getting them wrong. So double check that now. All right. We will also be using SOHCAHTOA. So off to the side, I have written SOHCAHTOA. We need to make sure we remember SOHCAHTOA. It's going to make your life so much easier. Do you need to write it again? Pause it and write this down. All right, let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to start you on this one, but I'm not going to finish it. You should be able to finish all of these ones relatively simple, especially after doing the task in class. So I want to pay attention to the stuff that I am given. So I'm going to highlight everything that I am given. It's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to take that given information and I'm going to put it into my triangle. So angle CBD is 51 degrees. So CBD means if I were to draw from C to B to D, it's that angle right here. So CBD is 51 degrees. CDA, C to D to A, that's this angle. So that angle is 30 degrees. From there, I can find the rest of my angle measures. We also need to remember there are 180 degrees in a triangle. So use your calculator, whatever you need to do. If this is 90 and this is 30, I subtract that from 180 and I get 60 degrees. This is also 90. The other side of angle A is 90 degrees. So now I can do 180 minus 90, not plus, minus 90 minus 51, and I am left with 39 degrees. So I have all those angle measures in there now. And then I also know that CA is 6 feet. So I'm going to put in 6 right there for CA. I have put in all my given information. Now I'm going to use that information to answer questions 1 through 8. Find the measure of angle BCD. So I'm going to start at B, I'm going to go to C, and then I'm going to go to D. That means I need to find that angle measure. So to do that, you guys are going to add 39 plus 60. So you guys can finish that. In number 2, you're going to find 2 other angle measures, BCA and ACD. I'm not going to find those for you. You guys should be able to find those relatively simply. Just trace from B to C to A, and that means you're going to find that angle. And then from A to C to D, and you find that angle. So use multiple colors if you need to. Maybe a colored pencil. I would not use, I should have said this before, I wouldn't use a highlighter because it's going to get very, very sloppy, or colored crayons or something. But I would stay away from the highlighters. It'll get way too messy. So that's how you guys go through and do 1 and 2. To do 3 through 7, which is all finding side lengths. So let's start with BC. I need to find BC. So here's BC. You need to recognize that you have right triangles here. I have 3 of them. I have this little one. I have this one. And then I have the entire big one. So I have 3 right triangles. Pay attention to only one at a time. So to do number 3, I'm going to pay attention to the little one. This is what I'm trying to find right now. I'm going to draw that separately. It might make this easier if you guys look at them as separate triangles. This is 6, and this is what I'm looking for. So this is for number 3. So I'm looking for x. So SOHCAHTOA, I have to use SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to identify my theta. My theta, I'm going to use 51 degrees. So what is the hypotenuse? X is my hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. And 6 is my opposite because it's across from the theta. It's on the other side. So when I am using SOHCAHTOA, so I'm writing this again. SOHCAHTOA is going to help me determine if I'm going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. Since I have opposite and hypotenuse, I'm going to use sine because it uses opposite and hypotenuse. So sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to have the sine. My theta is 51 degrees. Opposite is 6. Hypotenuse is x. So now I'm going to go through the process of solving for x. First, I want to get rid of my fraction. So I'm going to multiply by x. So it cancels. So I'm left with x sine of 51 degrees equals 6. Now I'm going to divide by 51 degrees because it's multiplication. So I can use my calculator now. So x is going to equal, and again, your calculator needs to be in degrees. So I'm going to use 6 divided by sine of 51. And I end up getting 7.7. Did it tell me how much to round? To the hundredths. So this is 7.72. So that's my answer for 3. It's 7.72. I strongly suggest, this just took up that whole area for me because of how big I write, but I would suggest putting all this on another piece of paper. You don't want to skip any work and make mistakes. You're going to go through the same process for 4, 5, 6, and 7. Figure out which triangle it belongs to. Does it belong to the small one? Does the side belong to the medium one? Or does the side belong to the large one? As you guys are also going through this, make sure you put what they equal on the actual triangle so you have it as you're continuing through 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's all I'm going to do there. For number 8, I'm not going to do 8. It wants the area of the entire triangle. So to find the area of that triangle, I didn't draw that very good, but it's good enough. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So here's that triangle. The whole bottom is your base, and you already have the height. The height is 6. You need the whole base. So in order to find that, you have this piece and you have this piece. You're going to add them together, and that's going to give you your base. So you should be fine going through and finding the area of the triangle. If you're stuck on any of that stuff, you know where to find me tomorrow morning to come in and get some help. Okay, that first set of the video was pretty long, but for the ready. But the set is not going to take us that long. We have gone over the Pythagorean theorem, which you will be using here to find all the missing measures. When it's asking you to find the missing measures, you need to make sure you have 3 angles and 3 sides. That's part of solving a triangle. Should not be too bad. I am not going to spend a whole lot of time on Pythagorean theorem. You can use Pythagorean theorem when you know 2 side lengths. That's when you can use the Pythagorean theorem. If you are not given 2 side lengths, then you're going to have to go through and use SOHCAHTOA like we did back here, where I was given only 1 side length. So I'm going to get you started on 9. 9 is an isosceles triangle. So we need to remember if this is 6, this side is also 6. So now I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find my hypotenuse. Additionally, since this is an isosceles triangle, this is a property we just need to know of isosceles triangles. This is 45 degrees, and this one is also 45 degrees. You're going to use that same method in 13 and 14. Now in 14, it is a little bit trickier, but since these are both the same, I can actually use the same variable. If this side is x, this side is x. So now I can go through and I can use the Pythagorean theorem. This has to be my c, don't forget, it's across from the right angle. So I can set 14 up as x squared plus x squared equals 12 squared. So how many x squareds do I have? I have 2x squareds, and it equals 144. I can divide by 2, and then I can go through and square root. So I'm going to let you guys finish that one, and you should be fine with the angle measures. Now for the other two, I'm going to change colors, or three, sorry. For the other three, I'm going to change colors. If this is 30 degrees, I can identify, this is, unfortunately, you guys are missing some skills when it comes to triangles and things, because maybe where you guys started picking this stuff up in middle school and things that we have skipped here. This is telling me that this is 30 degrees right here, which means if this is 30 and this is 90, this is going to be 60. So I know it seems kind of weird that, wait a second, the arrows are on the outside. Just go with it. That's 30. Okay, it's actually giving you the inside angle measure. So now I have all the angle measures, and you're going to do the same thing for 11 and 12. But I only have one side length. Therefore, I cannot use the Pythagorean theorem. So you are going to have to make sure that you use SOHCAHTOA. Pick your theta. You have the freedom to pick theta. So I'm going to make my 60 degrees theta. You can make 30 degrees theta. I don't care. So my theta is 60. So what is the 8? The 8 is the hypotenuse. You have two sides to find. You have the adjacent and you have the opposite. So you have to find each of those. So I'm going to write out SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. Okay. I have the hypotenuse. Since I have the hypotenuse, I am not going to use tangent. Tangent requires opposite and adjacent. I don't know either one of those. So I have to use sine and cosine. So I'm going to start with sine. Sine of theta. So this is going to be the sine of 60 degrees. Sine is opposite. I don't know the opposite. So x, and hypotenuse is 8. So I don't want my fraction anymore, so I'm going to multiply by 8. And then I am going to make sure my calculator is in degree mode, and this is going to end up being 8 sine of 60 degrees, which ends up being 6.93. So this is 6.93. When I go for the adjacent I have to use cosine, because cosine uses adjacent and hypotenuse. Again, there's not a lot of room here for you guys to be doing your work, so use another piece of paper. To do the adjacent, so this is going to be the cosine of 60 degrees, is adjacent, so I'll use x again, it doesn't matter, over 8. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. So this is going to be 8 cosine 60 degrees, which gives me 4. So x equals 4. And I have found all the measures of my triangle. If you need to see that again, I'm not going to do another one of these examples. You can pause, you can rewind, You can watch this again. You can come in and get some more help. But from the task and the video, we should be able to finish this problem. Now, the last part of this homework, you're just going to use these triangles and you're going to fill in this part here. Okay, you're going to get that filled in. You can use, I prefer you guys to use fractions whenever possible, but if you can't, you can't. Don't forget SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. So when I see sine, I want to go to a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to use opposite over hypotenuse. When I see cosine, go to a 45-degree angle adjacent over hypotenuse. You've done all of this here already, but you're going to do that for the completed triangles. Okay? It would honestly be easiest to use 13 for the 45-degree angles. And it really doesn't matter what you use for the 30 and the 60. That's completely up to you what you're going to use there. But you're going to use these 6 triangles, well, one of them, one of the 45s and one of the 30/60s to fill those in. You're going to have decimals. I thought that we'd be able to do this without decimals, but it's not going to happen. Okay, some of them are going to end up having decimals. Try not to. If you can make them without decimals, that would be fantastic. All right, that's all I have for you in this video. I know it was a long one. If you need to watch it again, watch it again. If you'd rather come in and get some one-on-one support, then please come in the morning or at lunch. I'll see you tomorrow.